Thank you, Mark. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone, depending on where you are on Earth currently. So, welcome to this another session of our research working group of the Global Peatland Initiative. So, my name is Fabrice Nkonkoi. I work for the United Nations Environment Program. I'm based in Nairobi. So I am coordinating the Global Peatland Initiative on behalf of all of the members and as well as our pilot countries. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope we will have another productive session today where we're gonna share information, share our recent publication, recent studies, and discuss about current topics around the globe on how we're going to make sure that we actually not forget peatland has another important solution to the climate crisis and biodiversity crisis as well. Thank you so much, and I will now hand over to Mark.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fabrice, and welcome everyone. I've put the agenda into the chat so that we are all on the same page. And as Fabrice has just alluded, the first thing, so that we make time for it this time, is an update on any peatland research that you think we should be aware of. So not necessarily just your own papers or projects, but anything new that is notable so that we can exchange knowledge, exchange ideas as a group. We do have a register of peatland projects, so where there are new projects that are coming online, we are adding them to that. And we can make a link to that available to you, because it's always nice to know what's happening and where possible to find synergies. That's the goal of this group. So please do finish your introductions. For those of you who've just joined, we're just introducing ourselves in the chat. And if you have any interesting new papers, projects, or initiatives that you are aware of by you or anyone else, stick them into the chat, please. And we'd love to learn more from you. So just giving you some typing time. If it's annoying having me talk, please just turn me down while you finish typing and then bring me back up. Welcome. There's a couple of people who just joined. Hi, Shane. Hi, Nuno. So we're just introducing ourselves in the chat and also sharing any new interesting peatland developments, papers, projects, initiatives, so that we exchange that knowledge. And as I was saying, we have a database of peatland projects that we're trying to keep an eye on. The goal of this group, of course, being then to create synergies, find opportunities where we can work across projects, across the world, pooling funding, resources and such like, to achieve more than we can alone as a community. So if there is nothing, then we can move on. But please, if you are still writing something, please do so. For myself, the things that I'm involved in are things we'll be talking about in the agenda that follows. So looking forward to moving into that. Let's move to our second point then. Great. Yeah, so this is Patrick, I think, is going to kick us off with this, if we can. The idea is, as I was saying, by exploiting synergies between projects and funders and working together, what can we do that could achieve more than the sum of our parts as a peatland community? And this is a really exciting initiative to generate impacts, starting within a European context, but today, with your help, moving out beyond Europe. That's the goal. Patrick, do you want to introduce this?
Yes, I hope you can already see my screen.
Yep.
And perfect. Oh, wait. Sorry. Okay. Are you seeing, the slide? Yeah. So yeah, welcome everybody. Really nice to see you all. A lot of new faces. And yeah, so we're gonna be talking more about the synergies that we're looking through these different European peatland related projects. And yeah, so as the GPI and also as part of the new, well, the efforts to establish this European peatland initiative, we're always interested in aligning efforts and finding synergies in peatland policy at a European level. Well, at a worldwide level, but right now discussing the European Peatland Initiative, specifically about, in a European level. And we have been identifying similar efforts and sometimes even overlaps related to different peatland related projects in the European level. So we went to align strategies and try to increase impact through collaboration. And yeah, basically we as part of our collaboration with the Wet Horizons project, which is funded by Horizon Europe, we want to promote this cross-project cooperation to scale up. Well, a lot of these projects are also related to wetlands, but we want to scale up wetland and peatland restoration. And Mark is going to talk more about this later and about this logic model that he has developed for this. But currently we have these 11 active projects funded by either Horizon Europe or EU Horizon 2020. And yeah, all of these projects are somehow related to peatlands. And we're very excited because today we have some of the project coordinators from these projects, and they will be briefly presenting each of these projects because we already have been in contact with most of them and want to understand the current progress of these projects, and also we want to develop a strategy to influence European peatland policy regarding the CAP and the nature restoration law. And therefore we developed a comparison matrix to analyze the objectives and the impact goals of all of these projects. And we identified, well, the objectives, the partners involved, the countries, the locations of these project sites, and all of these details. And it's interesting because most of these projects focus on peatland knowledge generation, aimed at providing policy recommendations, but through different wide approaches. So we understand there's a big budget. There's around 100 million euros involved in all of these projects. So we want to make sure that these strategies are sort of aligned in order to scale up wetland and peatland restoration in this case. So yeah, we did this analysis, and basically all projects are working with at least 2 or 1 countries that we have identified. Let me put the list on the chat. But basically, we identified the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, Spain, and Finland as the 5 main countries that all of these projects are involved with. They have a specific project site currently working in one of these countries, 1 or 2 of these countries. So we were proposing to start with these 5 priority countries in Europe to develop a policy strategy and identify market opportunities to increase private investment for peatlands. And Mark is going to discuss this a little bit later. But also, after focusing on this, we want to also extend this to non-European countries and see how many of you here are currently involved through your organization or through your institution in peatland projects also related to either policy or market opportunities, and to see if you would be interested in collaborate in a similar initiative, but for non-European countries. And in order to replicate this, we would be aiming to find at least 4 collaborating organizations or collaborating partners per country to be interested in following up this work. So yeah, this was a brief overview. We're gonna be opening the floor later to share opportunities and ideas and brainstorm a little bit more. But first, I hand it over to you, Mark, so you can maybe talk about the impacts logic model, and then we can proceed with the project coordinators.
Okay, wonderful. In the chat is the link. I'll just share screen so that you can see this. This is I guess the first starting point for this that we created within Wet Horizons with an international advisory board that both Patrick and colleagues at GPI and Wetlands International helped to coordinate. And that was not what I was intending to share. Let's try that one again. Here we go. Yeah, there we are. So you can follow this in your own time with the link. But essentially, there are two elements to this. So, as I said, this started with one European project, and so the focus here is on the European Peatlands Initiative. Our goal is to broaden this out as a GPI initiative and to non-European countries. And there are two elements. Policy engagement is number one, and then market engagement is the second strand to this impact strategy. Essentially two elements, at least so far, to the impact for policy. The first is to come up with an international policy influencing strategy where we have clear targets both at the international level, and that can be EU level and, of course, international level in terms of conventions and such like, but also then at a national level. So we've got this nested approach, and as Patrick has explained, we've chosen a number of European countries that ensure that at least all of these sister projects have at least two countries in that list, and many of them have many more. The reason being that we want to pool resources so that we have multiple, minimum of four, four countries in the list. So we're all working together. And by doing this, we get economies of scale, both in terms of the policy impacts, but also that resource pooling. In addition to this, our next agenda item is building capacity for policy influence, specifically through the generation of evidence syntheses on policy relevant topics and the creation of policy briefs linked to those policy, to those evidence syntheses. And Lydia is going to tell us a bit more about progress on this. Our timeline is delayed on this one for various reasons. We'll explain a bit more about where that's going in a moment. And then the second element here is around market engagement. And so there are a range of different elements to this. So a lot of interest in peatland carbon markets, but that's now moving into peatland biodiversity and other forms of ecosystem market, but also engaging with peatland extraction companies. And of course, in both of those kinds of cases, whether it's about the cessation of peat and the replacement of those incomes with other forms of income, there's almost always a link back to policy. And so these two are going to be very much integrated in terms of the approach that we take. So the goal is to start with this as an initial starting point, but to start now detailing this, nesting those individual country policy strategies within this, and broadening out beyond the EU with your help. So back to, in fact, yes, next we wanted to introduce the project coordinators. So we have limited time, of course, so please do keep things fairly brief. But if you can, an introduction to your project, but some of the kind of more applied policy relevant themes, and I think I've heard some of this already, you'll see a number of common themes emerging as you begin to hear what's going on. And of course, for those of us not involved in these projects, a really nice way to also find out about the research that everyone is doing as well and look for those synergies. So I'm hoping there'll be lots of interests and connections that come from this. Let's, in fact, Patrick, you've got the list, I think, on your screen of all the projects. Yes. Do you want to just go through one by one and introduce each one? Is that okay?
Yeah, thank you, Mark. Yeah, if we can start with Tula, introducing Alpha Wetlands.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. I would like to share a slide. I thought that, okay, maybe if you can enable my sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that this this is now 1 or 2 slides. So hello everyone, I'm here presenting Alpha Wetlands project on behalf of our coordinator, Liisa Ukonmanaho, who's my colleague at Natural Resources Institute Finland. And this project got funded from the same call as Wet Horizons that Mark Patrick
Tula,
just
you're not
introduced.
Tula, just to say you're not in presentation mode yet. If you want
Okay, I'm seeing this as a presentation mode. So I'm not quite sure what I should do. Can you see anything?
Yeah, we can see it. It's just a bit small, but that's fine. Keep going.
Okay, yes, because if it's a very short time, maybe I thought that it's good to reinforce with the slide. But I will give an overview. I think there are many opportunities for synergies and many opportunities for joint policy efforts. In our project, we are focusing quite a lot on improving wetland maps. So this is not only EU, but it's also all of Europe. And this includes peatland map that is already there, and then introducing wetlands and mineral soils. This work is led by Greifswald Meyer Center, who was obviously they also contribute to maps at a global level. Then a key feature is this evaluating restoration that is inclusive, so that we incorporate the co-creation process. We are developing methods and guidelines for this, and this is the idea is that this is something to topic for policy brief as well, to streamline how to be inclusive and ensure the success of wetland restoration. Then a broad theme are these information and indicators for sustainability to maximize climate change mitigation, biodiversity, and other benefits. And that also involves analyzing the trade-offs. So we are producing new data on greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity, and ecosystem services. And I think there is also like a opportunity for collaboration in refining these emission factors for various peatland land uses. And then there is modeling and scenarios. So these are now European, also at the site level, but then also at the European level, scenarios that include wetland restoration, like baseline wetland restoration, different climate change scenarios. And then we have the economic and social impacts that will then, on one hand, be a survey on citizens about their willingness to pay for wetland restoration, so that it would be included in their taxes. And on the other hand, a survey to landowners, what kind of compensation they would request to restore land, whether it's agricultural, forest, or then peat extraction. And then, of course, there's a lot of opportunities for us, I think, on communication, joint events, and reaching out to stakeholders at various levels, also beyond Europe. So that, and then, like Patrick already mentioned, we are operating in Finland, Sweden, Netherlands, Denmark, Spain. I think all 5 countries that were mentioned. And I think an interesting area in terms of peatlands is also Baltic states. So we have Estonia and Latvia. And I think this is also, they are very peatland rich countries. So also worth keeping in mind. So that was it in short.
Thank you very much, Tula. So I have a list of the other projects. I see that most of the projects are already here present, so that's very exciting. Next one in the list, if I think Lorenzo is here, if you can give a brief introduction about Wet Horizons, that would be fantastic.
Yes. Hello, everybody. You're welcome. This is Lorenzo. I work for Wet Horizons, and I'm here on behalf of Shubiao Hu, who is the project coordinator. Wet Horizons is now almost halfway, and the goal of the project is to improve our understanding about conservation and restoration of European wetlands. So we also, following up on the previous presentation, we also try to engage with stakeholders at all levels and with the help of Mark and other project partners. And also we work on data compilation and harmonization in order to produce some mapping tools. And one of these is actually an updated version of the European peatland map. Overall, we are 14 partners, and they are from 8 different countries. And regarding synergy, I think there could be synergies regarding mapping tools, also exploration of climate extremes, for example, drought, for instance, trade-off, as also mentioned in the previous presentation. And yeah, and there is also a substantial amount of work dedicated to the development of predictive models. So I think it would be very beneficial for us and for many other projects here to share methodologies and to also identify best practices. Yeah, so that was very quick.
That's great.
Thank you very much. Yeah, quick but enough. Yeah, afterwards we're gonna have some time for discussion. But yeah, thank you very much, Lorenzo. So today we have 2 Maras, but maybe we can start with ReWet, and then we can go with the other Mara from Live Pit Carbon. Yeah, so over to you from ReWet. Thank you, Mara.
Hello, good afternoon. I will try to share my screen as I have a brief presentation of the project. No, I'm trying. So can you should see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So ReWet, and good afternoon everyone, and thanks for inviting us. I'm Mara, I'm the communication manager of the ReWet project. ReWet stands for Restoration of Natural Wetlands to minimize emissions and maximize carbon uptake. And in a nutshell, ReWet is a European Horizon Europe project funded by the European Union. We have 18 partners from 9 countries. We have university, RTOs, NGOs, public bodies, and SMEs, and we are working to develop a specific methodology that focuses on restoring wetlands to minimize emissions and maximize carbon uptake.
Sorry, hold on a moment. We'll just... Sorry, I just muted everyone. If you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Oh,
okay, well done, Mara.
Okay, thank you. No problem. So the project is now in the 2nd year of implementation because we started in October 2022 and it will end in September 2026. So, okay, and we have 7 open labs and open laboratories in which we test the methodologies, in which we monitor the greenhouse gas emissions, in which some of them also we are restoring with the funding from the Horizon Europe. We have open labs in the Netherlands, Austria, Finland, Estonia, Belgium, Italy, and Portugal. Each one of these open labs has their own coordinator. And of all these 7 open labs, we have also different peatlands. We have in Finland, Estonia, the Netherlands, and one very special one in Portugal. The objectives of REWET, you can see them in this slide. We want to design and implement and monitor different methodologies for wetlands restoration in the 7 open labs. We also would like to have a toolbox to implement the restoration practices, not only in other wetlands in Europe, but also worldwide, if possible. We are also creating an inventory of European wetlands to generate an estimate of the carbon footprint of wetlands, together with a decision support system for the managers of the wetlands. We are also working on policy recommendation of best practices, and also working on market opportunities and green jobs for all the stakeholders involved in the different open labs. So the scope of the REWET project is holistic. We mix together science, local community, and governance in different ways. In science, we monitor greenhouse gases. We are developing also models to measure the impact of restoration and the climate change. We are engaged in each open lab with the local community, and by monitoring their perspective on wetlands and on the restoration and all the opportunities that restoration can give to the local community, and also trying to creating new business models. As regards the governance, we are studying all the policies to create guidelines for policymakers and support all the initiatives that are going on in Europe. Here, a little bit of more about the scientific aspect, that is about improving the knowledge beyond the state of the art of what we already know in the management and restoration of wetlands. As regards the social aspect, we are involving citizens and stakeholders through a survey throughout all the restoration processes, before, during, and after, because we want to get to know their overview and get to participate with them. So here a little bit more about the government and policy. Here there are the partners. As I said before, we are 18 partners from 9 different countries. And this is the contact of our project coordinator, Vanessa Ferreira from Edener. And you have also a QR code if you want to scan it to our main communication materials about the project. And so that's it. I hope it was brief enough to give time and space to the other projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mara. And now we can proceed with the other Mara from Life Pit Carbon. I don't see her anymore. Oh no, I think, yeah, I see you, Mara, but I think you're muted still.
Sorry. Yes, so one moment. So I'm Mara from University of Latvia. We are a 4-country project, international one, involving Finland, Germany, Denmark, and Latvia, of course. So we are aiming in peatland restoration, and for this purpose we are carrying out many activities to reach this aim, including hydrological vegetation studies, monitoring, hydrogeological modeling, and of course greenhouse gas measurements. And finally, it's a plan to develop an ecosystem model. It will be developed by FMI from Finland, Finnish Meteorological Institute. In Finland, we actually have 3 beneficiaries: Luke, FMI, and Oulu University. So we have a very good cooperation. And we have project sites too in Latvia. One of the largest ones, Ramsar site, reaching 5,000 hectares. So lots of challenge in restoration. At the moment, we have started restoration activities already in Finland, so leading to Latvia later this year. So we are going, what I see in common with the colleagues, so I see that we could share information on environment impacts, because we are carrying out also remote sensing, we are doing modeling things. So maybe that could be interesting. Of course, we are also now involved in carbon credits and market, all these things. It's a new for Latvia, so we have to test this carbon methodology. So that's something general. So a lot of communication activities, of course, we have with stakeholders, maybe we could have more with local people. As I heard, you are doing more. We not so much. We really concentrate at the moment with really research and studies. So we started in 22 July and we'll end in July 2027. So lots of challenges, but I really see I'm very interested in sharing information in some kind of cooperation if we find some common things. And of course, we are going to produce finally a book, and where we are going to summarize results of greenhouse gas measurements and remote sensing and hydrology and etc. That's probably in brief, not to take too much time.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mara. Yeah, that was a perfect wrap up of your work. Thank you very much. So I see, yeah, we have Philip Grundman. So we can proceed. Philip is coordinating both GoGrass and Margin Up projects. Thank you very much, Philip.
Thank you, Patrick, and thank you, Mark and all, for having this opportunity. Actually, I would like to bring them or present both projects together because the GoGrass project is basically ending, and they are very similar in terms of their objectives and approach. So let me quickly share some slides related to the Margin Up project. Both projects are RIA projects, Research and Innovation Actions. And maybe one difference to the projects that were described so far is that they are not pure peatland projects, but these are projects which aim to look at different types of marginal lands and see what kind of opportunities exist to develop them economically, socially, and environmentally. So the motivation, I think, is clear, but the use cases we're looking at these projects are very different. And for example, in the Margin Up project, we have the design that is developing the focus, or the main thing is to demonstrate circular value chains to produce some bioproducts from these materials grown on marginal lands, including peatlands, but not only peatlands. And there is a special focus on non-food crops, biodiversity-friendly crops. And you can already imagine that the issue of the trade-offs between using these lands from an economic point of view and also protecting them or recovering the lands is a central issue in the project. So first, the Margin Up project is actually in the starting phase, so we are mainly generating knowledge at this stage, doing mappings Europe-wide, assessing the potentials for these products, the barriers in terms of indirect land use changes, what kind of farming practices already exist, and developing assessment frameworks, indicators, and of course also international cooperation is our main interest. And then we're moving on to the implementation phase and monitoring phase. And finally, then the outreach and best practice exploitation phase. Just to give you an overview on the next slide. Oh, sorry, I haven't been moving on with the slides. So this is just showing the different phases. To give you an overview of the cases, they are spread all over Europe. But out of all these cases, you could say that just the case in Germany and to some degree also the case in Sweden are directly related to peatlands. And in the German case, this is very much about the production of some building material and pellets from re-wetted fenlands. Of course, with the aim then to replicate this in other places, even internationally, in Argentina, for example. So the current state of these fenlands that have been in the past mainly used as drained agricultural lands, the idea is, of course, to re-wetten them, and the margin up alternative is then to use the natural vegetation and to produce these pellets or other soil remediation materials and even animal bedding and fuel. So these are the partners of the project. We basically focus very much on the development of the businesses, but also accompanying this with a thorough assessment of all the solutions proposed, and also with communicating best practices and policy uptake. So having a constant feedback with policy is very, very relevant at the regional, but also at the EU level. Okay, that's it. We're looking forward to work together with you. And
thank you very much, Philip.
thank you again.
Thank you. I think we can proceed with Waterlands. I see we have Shane McGuinness. Yes, can we proceed with Waterlands? Thank you.
Yeah, and apologies, Shane, we have realised that there was a slight error in our work, and there is no country prioritised for Waterlands yet. So we will revisit this and add a 6th country, which whichever one of your countries has most overlap with other projects. So apologies again, Shane, for that.
No problem. Good stuff. Yeah, pleasure to meet some of you for the first time, and others the second and third and fourth time. I'm a coordinator of the Waterlands project. We are quite a large Horizon 2020 Green Deal funded project. 14 countries, 32 partner organizations across 5 years. We began in November 21 and finish in November 26. Maybe a couple of months, no cost extension beyond that, but hopefully not. Our ambition is quite large, 10,500 hectares of wetland restoration across 6 different restoration sites. We call those action sites. The main model is really to go from garnering the knowledge of our 15 knowledge sites sprinkled across Europe, coalescing that and applying it at 6 specific restoration sites, and then learning from that in terms of legacy and ensuring that we have scalable action beyond that, whether it's in time or funding or actual physical space. One of the key components of this is that it isn't one component. It's not just the ecology. So the way we are addressing this is by looking at the ecology, the community, the governance, and the finance of each one of those sites, whether it be a knowledge site or an action site, coalescing those 4 key pillars and co-creating best practice and applying that at our restoration sites elsewhere. Very good progress thus far, in particular around community engagement and understanding the policy contexts of those specific areas, whether it is local policy or EU transposed policy. Importantly, it's not just EU. We have a very important site in Northern England called the Great North Bog. So it's a broadly European context that we're working on too. One of the key challenges we have really is ensuring that there is adequate integration of this knowledge and that we try as much as possible not to remain siloed in our expertise. It's a challenge for all of us, I'm sure. One of the novel ways we're developing that now is by having what we call action site focus sessions, where I suppose we gather a crack team of different multidisciplinary actors and troubleshoot with those on the ground, usually remotely. And that's actually proven to be really, really useful because a person from the policy perspective might actually have a lot to contribute from ecology, whereas the finance, they're often seen as a little separate from that. Well, actually, they need to understand the ecology of that and what the ecosystem service is that is being delivered. So we're making huge progress, in particular on the finance side of things, mobilizing quite a bit of interest from investors, and then matching that up with projects on the ground with very clear, quantifiable returns-based ecosystem services. Now, challenges around all of that, if you think of Science-Based Targets Initiative and others, there's no end to that. So we are pushing with the acknowledgement that we are not a lobbying organization, but we are an objective scientific provider of pressure, I guess, is as far as we can go. I'll stop there, but I'll put the website into the chat and you can learn more about it.
Thank you, Shane. Just a quick question, because when we were doing the analysis, I was looking at the website that you have this action site in the Netherlands, in the north. But already this is very small compared to the other restoration projects that you mentioned in UK and in Ireland.
Yeah, and not focus on peatlands. That was my comment earlier.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, so we can identify other countries that also, of course, impact your work positively. Okay, thank you. So we can now proceed with the Merlin project. I see we have Sebastian among us.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everybody. That's a good thing to speak after Shane, because I wanted to show you this here. It is a cluster activity between 4 projects in which the Merlin project is present, and also the Waterlands projects. These are the ones that focus on peatlands. Well, I know Waterlands very much more than Merlin does, but we are the 2 freshwater focused projects amongst with the West Coast colleagues and Superb. And you see that it's these 4 projects do cover a lot of partners and quite an amount of resources, which we invest also into actual restoration sites. So this is for your information. I won't dive too deeply into what Merlin is doing, but as I understood, you have quite a policy focus here. What we are doing intensively is also to engage with economic sectors that are relevant when it comes to changing business as usual. And you see we have identified these 6 sectors here in Merlin, and one of those sectors is the peat extraction sector, peat extraction companies. And we'd like to engage, we do engage into activities, exchanging with the sectors to understand whether there are other ways of dealing with environmental issues, of finding alternative sources for value chains. So this is one of the aspects we are dealing with in the Merlin project, and we consider ourselves working in that project cluster that I talked about a couple of seconds ago, which is very much focusing on landscape scale initiatives here. And this is all I'd like to say today.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. And last but not least, we have Nuno to see if you can tell us about West Coast. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I mean, West Coast is very similar regarding the size, the budget, the amount of partners as the other 2 projects that were presented here. But the thing is that we are working in the coast, in coastal ecosystems, right? And our main goal in West Coast is to move towards a large-scale restoration of coastal ecosystems. And we are doing this in 9 pilot sites, covering, I would say, it's quite representative of different coastal types. We have, for instance, I'm from the Ebro Delta here in the Mediterranean coast of Spain. We have also pilot sites in Venice, but also in the Arcachon Bay in France, in Poland. We have bays. We have, for instance, a transnational pilot, which is the Wadden Sea. and to approach this pilot site, we have both the Netherlands and Germany partners that are dealing with this, and the way we are approaching this upscaling of coastal restoration, it's also working basically in three pillars, right? So the technical aspects of the restoration, but also the governance and the financial arrangements. So yeah, I mean, it's basically this. I mean, let me say that within West Coast, we are not dealing specifically with peatlands. Although in my team we have previous experiences working in peatlands, both in some of the ecosystem services and biodiversity, and we are trying now also to move towards new projects on peatlands, because we have some interesting ones here in the Ebro Delta, which are coastal peatlands. Well, a little bit different perhaps from the mainstream peatlands perhaps that you are working with. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Nuno. Yeah, so we are a bit short on time, but I guess we can jump straight to the discussion. So yeah, now that every project has presented, we would like to hear from all of you as the members of the research working group. So either you can raise your hand and you can speak, or you can also write your ideas in the chat. But basically, we want to see who is interested in collaborating with this type of work. First, focusing on these proposed countries that, well, they're still not final, but if you think you can provide or collaborate with some of these projects and ideas specifically for these countries, and whether you think that you or your institution already is working in peatland policy aspects or these market opportunities aspects within these countries. Yeah, so please let us know, and yeah, the floor is yours. But please also write ideas in the chat in case you prefer.
So just to reiterate, yeah, if you have interests in any of those priority countries and you'd like to collaborate, please let us know and we can follow up. And if you'd like to propose a non-European country in which you're working in, where you think that we can find at least another 3 collaborators to pool resources with, then we'd like to bring that country in as well. So just declare an interest in any of the existing countries or propose a new non-EU country, maybe in the chat. And given the time, I think we then follow up individually so that we get some really substantive collaborations from that, rather than rushing this too much. So it's just knowing if you have an interest at this point. Given the time, I'm going to suggest we'll allow people to type as we're doing this and move. Great, thanks, Miguel. Keep the comments coming. We'll move to our next agenda item. And briefly, if you can, Lydia, so we've got time for our final point. An update we heard last time about the evidence synthesis project. I alluded to it earlier. Lydia, you're leading this, so where are we at?
Yeah, thanks, Mark, and I'll try and be really brief. So anybody who doesn't know me, I'm a lecturer based at the University of St Andrews, and it was really interesting hearing about all of your projects. So one project that Mark mentioned briefly is this rapid evidence synthesis project that we got some money for initially from the British Academy, from their talent development scheme. And I don't think we can announce that there might be more funding yet, but there might be some funding to increase the scope of the project to allow more people, more early career researchers to get the training that we're going to offer. So brief update on where we're at. So the project has 2 goals. One, to train early career researchers who are interested in responsible peatland management in rapid evidence synthesis. And that will be done by our colleague, somebody that Mark's worked with for a long time, Eric Jensen, who is the CEO and research director of a virtual Institute of Methods Innovation. So this is his bag. The second goal is to answer key questions of relevance to developing policy for responsible peatland management across the world. And we've got policy relevant questions from the PeatQuest project, which I imagine lots of you got involved in, which is being run by Alice Milner at the University of Royal Holloway in London. So she kindly sorted through many questions to send us ones that could be relevant to policy, developing policy around peatland management across the world. And we sorted through those and have come up with probably about 7 questions that we're going to run through this rapid evidence synthesis project. We're nearly ready to start advertising this training opportunity. So when we've got it ready, we will, I want to see Mark's put the questions in the chat. We will be advertising it with you all, and please pass it on to any early career researchers that you can think of that might be interested in joining. So it's completely free, it's online. The training will start hopefully August, September time and run through till next February, when we hope to have nearly finalised these rapid evidence syntheses responding to each of these questions and have policy briefs to give back to the policy community. The eligibility criteria is that we want postdoc level equivalents, people at postdoc level or equivalent. It's open to anybody from anywhere. And we don't have a definition for early career researchers, but we think hopefully it will be self-explanatory when we get the applications in. We're going to try and get people from with a great geographical diversity, gender diversity, and we want people who are interested in, we'd like an even distribution across the different questions. We'll ask people when they sign up for the training to pick a question that they're interested in answering, and people will get into groups of 5 to 6 to answer those questions through rapid evidence synthesis. I think that's probably all I need to say now. If anybody has any questions, do ask or put them in the chat. But otherwise, thanks, Mark.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so finally, Fabrice, if you can give us an update on phase 2 and then close the meeting for us, if that's okay. Fabrice, thanks, over to you. Fabrice, I can't hear you for some reason. You're not on mute, but can you check your microphone? No, still nothing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Maybe you can't hear us. I'm going to put a thumbs up.
I can hear you. Thank you so much. I'm saying thank you so much, Mark, and thank you so much for all the project coordinator. That was a really insightful sessions, and we look forward to learning more about your progress and also working with you in the future. Thank you. So for the GPI as an initiative, just a quick updates on the extension of the project, because as you may be aware, so GPI has been working with the support of the IKI from the German government. So we had this 5 years project that actually helped GPI as an initiative to set up all its structure. So now this project is coming to an end end of June, and then we have been successful, let's say, to agree with IKI for a 2 years extension. So this extension will mainly support the GPI to design our long-term strategy. So this would be a 10-year strategy for the GPI as an initiative with our own fundraising strategy, because we can't continue relying on project funding. We need to now move toward institutional arrangement. How we're going to continue our work regardless of project funding. So that will be the main focus of this extension, and we will be working with our partners, and we are expecting to start this extension by early July. this year, and it will run up to, let's say, 2 years up to 2026. So that's probably what I can say as of now for this extension. But we will give you more details as we go down the road and as we receive the final confirmation from the donor. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Fabrice. Fantastic to hear more about that, and excited to be able to work together. And this also, of course, secures the future of this group. So thank you, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. Fascinating to learn more. I'm really looking forward to these next steps and to working with you all. Fabrice, do you want to just say some final closing words, and then we'll let you get on your way?
Thank you so much, Mark. That was a really productive session, and I'll just say thank you and bye-bye. See you for the next session.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.